Alright, so first thing that I'm going to do is I am going to attempt to take the left side manifold off. So I'm just going to pull the spark plug wires real fast. So I'll start with that. I'm not going to be reusing these, I'm pretty sure, so they're on there pretty good. Let's see if I can grab the actual meat of it. If I can or not. Again, I'm not super concerned. I probably won't be using these, but I'm using them. Pull these guys. Got it. All right. I'm gonna pull these off. Pull all the boots. Or set those aside. And it looks like on one of these I do have possibly a bolt missing, probably broke off inside. Just gonna use a breaker bar, 13mm on the manifold bolts. I loosened this one up already. I did kind of move these up beforehand with some. Actually, I'll leave that middle one. I did put a little bit of deep creep in there beforehand. Let it sit for a couple days. Yeah, broke right off. Oh boy, that's normal. Hope to God it's not that bad. You might be able to get some channel locks on it, or we'll get something on it, possibly, to see if we can get it turned once we actually get the manifold off. I'm gonna try and loosen this middle one. Let's see what happens. Alright, that one comes out. So we got two that broke off in the block, or in the heads. So again, if that happens, you know, don't worry. It's pretty common. It's gonna happen, especially if they're older. This engine has 189,000 miles on it. There we go. Go set this aside. Let's take a look. Yep. That one right there, completely sheared off right from the inside. So, and it was like that. It's like that on the other side as well. It looks like. I don't know if these were ever replaced, but all right. Let's go to the other side here. Start pulling the spark plug boots. One. Not too worried about it. I'm getting these replaced anyway, so. Just want to get them out of here. I'm going to toss them. Let's get a good grip on them. There's a tool you can get that grips these properly. Don't have one. We're all doing this on a budget, so it'll go quick. Seems to go quick, works easier. There we go. Still out there. Pull the boot. Pull the boot. And all right. And then, to be honest with you, I'm breaking it off. I don't even care. I'm gonna get a new one. Already decided. So, that. Let's see if it'll. Yeah, it's a pain in the ass. Alright. 13. Go. Alright, so what I got here is I have a just a wooden dolly. Got it off of got it from Harbor Freight. What I'm gonna do is set it right underneath the transmission pan, the fluid pan. I'm going to try to let this down, set the weight of it down onto the dolly, and that way we get some weight off of it so we can detach the transmission bell housing bolts. So we got a few of those. We got, looks like one in there that I see you have to get from this side. This is just a dowel. Then you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So we'll have to get those out, but it's got to be supported by, we have to get the transmission supported so there's no, it's not pulling on it. And then the only other one that we have to get is the bracket for the transmission there where the axles go in. We'll get that bracket detached, just this side of it, and we should be able to pull the whole thing back out of this bracket that's connected to the motor, and should be sitting freely on the stand. So we'll go ahead and do that next. So I'm slowly just going to go ahead and let this down. Just kind of let it down. All right. So it's going to want to tip, obviously. So we're going to leave. We're going to leave a little bit of weight on it. It's not a lot, but we got a little bit of resistance still on the chain. And then I'm going to get myself a, it looks like a 15 mil. Looks like we have 4 15 mils here. And since that's not connected to anything, that should come right off. So we'll go ahead and do that. All right, so I'm going to start taking off these. Okay. I think it's an 18 though. Yeah, 18. So leave that there. And throw my gun in there on it. Let's see if I can hold this motor. Perfect. Alright, so this here is a dowel. We just took the bolt out of that one. Next one I'm going to do is this part, 15 mil. 15. Just because some of the weight's still on it, I'm assuming. There we go. And that's what that one looks like. So it's kind of your bolt with the stud attached style. So then you're going to put all these in a bag. You want to save all of these. You know, label them bell housing bolts. All right, so I just took a little crowbar. One of these guys right here in between the bell housing of the block and this post here, just kind of pried back on it, and it just popped right out. It just needs a little bit of pressure just to get it apart. It's been together for a long time. You can see it's coming apart there, so there we go. Yeah, you want it tick, so I'm putting some chain tension back on it, get this engine back in the air. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right, so there we go. Got the transmission disassembled there. Went ahead and labeled everything. Dipstick bracket bolts, transmission bolts, manifold bolts, just if you have to ever reference them later. Up next, we're gonna go ahead and get the torque converter off of the flywheel. So we'll get a thin wrench, and there's only 3 of them, I believe, on this one. Some of them are 4, not LS4s, but other motors are 4 bolts. LS4s are only 3 on the torque converter. So it's going to be an 18 millimeter. I'm going to use a wrench. I just drained the oil real fast. You just got to get a wrench under here and you start turning them. They're not super tight, but they are a little bit tough to crack loose because this wants to spin. What I did to help that was I put a vice grip on it. Put some vice grips on it, like just kind of like that. Just gently tighten it down, just so it was just kind of like that. And then it can't move when it hits that dowel when you go to loosen it. And I just kind of did that on this side and on that side. And you just gotta slowly start taking it off.
slap this bad boy back on. And it's out. Oh, yeah. Ooh, she's heavy. Next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna go grab our brace, we're gonna grab our bolts, and we're gonna start setting the brace up on here, get it in the middle even, screw it down, and get it ready to get set in the actual engine stand. All right, guys, so I wanted to show you how I kind of set this up. It was a little bit tricky. So what I essentially did is, first of all, the engine stand that I have is over there. It is the Harbor Freight. It's not Harbor Freight, I don't think, but it's very, very similar if it's not. It's the same exact manufacturer, but essentially that's the 2,000 pound capacity Harbor Freight one. So with that, the way I could do it, the only way I could do it was the arms for the lower straight side to side were too long. So I had to cut them down because even all the way in, they were too long to fit on the ends of these. They came out to there, even pushed all the way in. So one of the things that I did was I cut them off. I drilled a 1/2 inch hole through them just to basically shorten them up a little bit so that I could actually install them and use them. The other thing that I did was I got on eBay or Amazon, and I got a M10 by 1.5 threaded bolts for the top 2 bolts in the bell housing here. So those are going straight in. And then for these, for the end ones, this is a lot more tricky. Essentially, these are just open holes where you would put the bolt through. So open hole, not threaded, and another open hole. So essentially what I did on the 2 ears of it is I went to Home Depot and I got a 1/2 inch through, I believe it was 1/2 inch by 5.5 inches, something like that, with a little box of 1/2 inch washers and 1/2 inch nuts. So I did washer, put it right through this side so I could tighten it down from this side. So washer, 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 nut. This is also a 1/2 inch as well. And then so is this one too. So those ones are both 1/2 inch. All of them are pretty much 1/2 inch. Except for these two. Those might be 1/2 inch, but the bolts are bigger. And then you got your 2 M10s there. So that's kind of how I have it set up right now. I try to get it as up towards the middle of the motor as I could. If you do it too low, like in the middle or lower portion of the flywheel, then it gets a little heavy. When you're turning it around, it'll be too top heavy. So that's kind of what I think I'm going to set it up like right now. I sent them and got them pretty tight. So, and that worked pretty good actually. It feels pretty sturdy. I'm trying to look over here. So the only other thing I had to do over here was, because this particular bolt right here, if you can see, there's a lip here on the bell housing where it actually is the bell housing surface. This particular hole right here is not. So it's got a little divot, so it's a little bit more in than the other side and all the other ones, as you can see there. So what I did was I just took a washer. It wasn't much, and I just put a washer in between there to offset that little bit of a lip, so it doesn't bind up too much on this arm and try to, you know, pull it out of the thing. I'm gonna lower it just a little bit. Just a skosh, so I can get it started. There we go. Actually, that's not too bad. Kind of off to the side. If we kind of go like that, it's pretty close. So that's kind of what I'm working with there. You can see the feet. It just barely touches the ground on all fours, while still clearing enough to actually get that in there. So go ahead and let it down the rest of the way. There you go. It's completely on the stand. All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and take the chain brace off. And I'm gonna keep all this attached as best I can, because I'm just gonna be reusing this. So, take that guy off. go. Set it right back on. Here we go. So like I said, I'm going to keep the brace part together as much as I can and put the bolts that were part of these brackets back in here if there is any. Alternator mount. So the alternator bracket bolts and this kind of trifecta of these two right here. I'm going to do these two, take it off, leave that whole thing attached so I know that's exactly how I had it when I took it off. Alright, so there we go. Just barely got all four of them straight down on the stand itself. While kind of shoving this in, you kind of just loosen it up, try to work it in there as best you can, and then once you see it line up with the hole, it's pretty much all you need to do. Make sure you grease this up beforehand or else it's a nightmare to turn around. But all my bolts are tightened on the actual brace, got it in, so I'm just going to go ahead and let it down a little bit and let's hope for the best here. So, letting it down just ever so gently. And slowly coming. And there's almost no give on that. It didn't even flinch. Alright guys, so there it is, sitting on the engine stand. So feels really secure, really good with those 1/2-inch bolts in there. Went really well. On the next video, I will go ahead and start the disassembly process of it. You know, we'll take the valve covers off, we'll take the coil packs off, we'll pop the heads off, alternator bracket, dog bone mount, we'll take the manifold off, get to some of those things, and start getting it ready for a DOD delete. Probably gonna go with something like a stage 2 cam. Haven't 100% decided yet on what we're gonna do, but we'll do something along the lines of probably like a stage 2 DOD delete. We'll get rid of the active fuel management, and yeah, get this thing running good. Get some horsepower in it. We'll go through a full thing and redo all the gaskets, all the seals, all those types of things. Haven't decided really 100% how far I'm going to go, if I'm going to do pistons or rings. I'm assuming I'm going to do some rings. I might take the block and get it cleaned up and looked at, maybe line honed. We'll see. But as far as this goes, there is part 1 for you guys, and I will see you on the next video.